Thank you for joining me today in celebrating the culmination of many years of challenge and change. We are all here in this gorgeous wild region, which is the traditional territory of the Lheidli T'enneh. I am so thankful to share this day, this dream, this hope with all of you today, and I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to hear this story, my story, which I hope will inspire critical thought and change within and outside you and all your relations' lives. On December 22nd, 2005, I was diagnosed with aggressive invasive breast cancer. A former competitive professional level athlete, I was shocked. But I was also relieved to know that I was actually sane. I wasn't dramatic or attention-seeking. I wasn't a hypochondriac or lonely and seeking outside male attention as my doctor had admonished for over 5 years. I really was really sick. Throughout 2006, I underwent 2 surgeries, a systemic infection, 8 rounds of chemo, and then radiation. I lost all my hair, but I missed my eyebrows the most. I ballooned like a blowfish. I contracted a staph infection and was the ugliest and most sensitive me I could have ever imagined, but I survived. This thesis is a poetic self-narrative of that year. Using theories of autoethnography, performance, otherness, arts-based, and transdisciplinary research, I chronicle the hardest days and nights I have ever known. The medley of poems that I am going to present today include 5-page poems that will appear on the screens above you. And these 5 poems differ from those that I will present verbally or, as I know, in a spoken word poetry format. The visual poems have literal shape, pun intended, shape which factors into their singular meaning, and meaning for the overall body of works which comprise my thesis. Before BC AD, before cancer, after diagnosis, a poetic timeline of illness for patients and healthcare professionals. And so I begin. BC 1, before cancer 1. But we were only confused, arrested by an altar draped in pink flags from our foremothers, souls divided by logic and half-masted rage, strangely apart. We hushed inside, outside, and turned our backs, hid behind the blush in our purses, took other women at face value rather than challenge the eye in the mirror which hunted sacrificial sisters among us. And now we are trapped by a shared disease, a bladed, ugly sheath, and our young daughters bear the curse of their future with naive minds, breasts perked. They stand transfixed inside our songlessness, where, like spoiled goddesses, we cower, knowing that for each one of us, a twin less fortunate will crumple in battle, an innocent statue dissolving in rain. 2. 3 days before Christmas, 8:10 in the morning, and suddenly my entire world dangles as precariously as one of the little balls that tempt our ginger cat from the branches of the Christmas tree in the corner. Protective frosting, no defense against a shortfall onto hardwood. The phone seems innocent enough, now cradled again in its holster, while moments ago it rested warm against my ear as cold words hunted down the line from a neighboring city arrested me with a series of syllables that boiled down into one label: breast cancer. I don't move from the phone I've just put down as gently as a fevered child, because I know I must pick it right back up and share this news with my parents. Ransack their quiet morning with the horrible news of my invasion, aggressive and deadly. Nothing I have ever done is as hard as phoning my parents right now. Although I have no knowledge of what the next year brings to my ignorant self or household. I've never even said the word mastectomy. Have no idea what chemo is like or about any of the side effects. The mouth sores, nausea, the sandy eyes, blistered skin, yeast infection, and unrelenting fatigue. I can't perceive the confusion that will splinter my soul, distance me from myself to the point of despair. I cannot imagine how strangely I'll be viewed by my husband, how ashamed I'll be of my own behavior after each of my treatments because my body is too weak and the dosage too strong, and even after it's dropped and dropped and dropped again, I still suffer. I am ignorant of what tired really is. And I don't fathom how my husband will just instantaneously wink out of our life, watching from afar as I splinter in this battle. In fact, my husband left for work about an hour ago, made himself coffee, and turned on the Christmas tree lights in the corner to greet me. I've awakened to this rancid phone call. Stare now at the coved ceiling on which those colored lights suddenly seem drunken and carnival. Panic freezes my core, and I start to shake uncontrollably. There's no silence as my body screams with a fear that I'm a stranger to. It's the terror of a disease I don't want, a disease I would do anything to mutate away. But a dark door opens somewhere, and a phantom creeps across my scalp, slithers down my spine, and turns into a tremor that will stay right here for a very long time. It's the terror of a disease I don't want and would do anything to mutate away. I don't sag under the weight of this diagnosis, though, but I am instantaneously thirsty, my reservoir too empty for tears, my mind too shocked to calculate the enormity of changes I face. Confusion assaults me with a blunt intensity. I don't feel seriously ill. How could I possibly be so dangerously fragile, as mortal as this damned phone call has just declared me? The phone is cold against my ear as I dial my parents 3 days before Christmas from an empty household 400 miles away, where for the next several months my perception of God will be tried in fits of pain, confusion, rage. I put the receiver to my stunned ear and whisper when my father answers, "Sit down, Daddy. Sit down." AD, after diagnosis. 1. I was a competitive cyclist, coached to live a life in which I could be my best by chasing the clock and every cyclist who might be ahead of me. I was a downhill daredevil, courageous, crazy, and brave. But right now, oh man, adrenaline's crashing through me and I'm shaking uncontrollably, and it kind of feels like when I was in a Canada Cup downhill race, when I'd caught my minute marker at a capricious angle, was passed her conspicuously close and was careening towards the finish line, confidence flaring, teeth clenched, in complete control. Only there is no corner, no confidence, and no control. It's confusing considering I feel like I'm going that fast. My consciousness is cracked in two and I'm cartwheeling inside, but I've got to clear my head and face the fact that this is not a Canada Cup downhill race. This is a chemotherapy clinic, and here I am. They tell me chemo will collapse my life by killing every cell inside of me, but that chemo's my only choice. I cower against this caustic experience, but it's all I've got. These chemicals can kill me as easily as cure me. So all I can do is hope and pray that the Creator has cut a new course for me after this course, this chemo, is completed. Here I am, cringing as cycle 1 of my chemo collects inside of me. It's creepy how cold it makes me feel. My teeth are chattering, and I am accosted by questions about more mortality. Here I am. Quite frankly, I would give anything not to be here. This air is thick with the souls of countless cancer patients come before me, and they are crammed in here like fog. And I can hear them. It's as if they're a crowd at a Canada Cup downhill race. And they're cheering, but they're saying, if you can do that kind of cycling, then you better believe you can do this kind too. I am cowering now, but I've got to push. I've got to push and push myself and convince myself that I can do this. I can come through 8 cycles of chemo. I can face this cancer head on. So I start imagining, chasing and crushing every cancerous cell my body might ever contain, because cancer is my race now. Here I am. With chemicals coursing through my veins, here I am, changed to my core. But cancer is not just my race. It belongs to all of us, unfortunately. And we can come through each corner and each finish line, strong and confident. We can stand together, and we can crush and conquer cancer. I know we can. Here I am, and I must believe this. 2. Tsunami plows forward, sand becomes water, becomes concrete, demolitions a swath of nothingness, and flattens me clean. 3. No choice. Nurses assigned my seat today, and I'm next to the double wide doors that lead to the private room that houses the crash cart. I guess that's just how they have to deal with how my veins nearly exploded during my last treatment. I guess it really was as awful and scary as it felt. I have a view of everyone from here, but no one's looking at me on account of our generalized fear of those double wide doors opening up fast. A new lady comes in, and they seat her near the entrance. Ooh, first timer. So she and I are like gargoyles perched on opposite sides of the gates of hell. She's talkative, looking vivacious, and kind of relaxed, but that veneer's a little too darn thin for the likes of us who know how much she's shitting bricks inside. Out of respect, we ignore her so that she can keep pretending, but our radar picks up that needles go in no problem, that her veins are still plump and naive. And I feel it before I see. My skin suddenly feels like razor blades and crushed glass. And I look around to see her, bright red, eyes rolling back, and then the nurses notice. And then it's the same scene as my last treatment, only me in the gargoyle spot, not in the patient spot. As 4 nurses, efficient as herding dogs, float really fast to her side, pulling tubes, reclining a chair, grabbing heated flannels, silencing alarms, doing all they can to nut rush open those double wide doors as 2 oncologists with soft-soled shoes rush in and join the huddle for however long it takes to finally get her back to the right color. I'm the only ghoul watching any longer, as all the rest of us feign sleep or turn away or completely off or are just too thin to respond. So only I see the doctors when they say, it's over. And then she's sitting upright, terrified. digesting news that she's allergic or toxic or something that means that even the chemo won't work for her, that even poison won't do it. I see her struggling to digest the news that all of her chances just died, and I wilt. For her, with her, about her. Cold as death from the poisons dripping willingly into my arm. My mouth dry, my eyes suddenly soaking wet from some nameable tidal wave of guilt. 4. Toxicity is a constant mood, thick as fog over a spreading city, deadly as smoke from wood frame buildings going up in fire, flames rich with hunger, as red as blood under a hospital microscope every 3rd, 4th, and 5th week. It's just temporary. There's nothing inside me now but ash. The lunatic I've become threatens more than the cancer does, and I forget positive, loving, loved. While medicine poisons well beyond the cells it's injected to kill, and I die rapidly in that rain. It's just temporary. This all risks permanent bitterness. But I don't want to be the brackish woman I've become, with eyes like a savage's, rot spewing from a mouth I don't recognize, don't even feel I own, sharpened hatred hanging me away from myself. It's just temporary. These 3 words are hollow in my temple, which is now bare of gold and candlelight. This church shrinks without congregation of spirit, grows silent as stone underneath my shrieking heart, my soul flailing in a stained, sick, sick faith. 5. Dear Dr. G, you are a doctor, a man in starched white, tall and respected, leading a valuable life. You are a doctor, our first step against all the sickness that sticks to unsuspecting cell walls. Our bodies are bones, blood, and bare, and you are our access to medical care. You are a doctor, and you know best. You know more than I'll ever see because you went to med school and have that degree. That famed framed paper hanging on your wall that gives you the gall to treat others small. You are a doctor, the one who pokes and frowns, presumes, projects, and postures me down because I'm just a girl, a student, or a thing, or whatever it is I do for a living. Me? I'm your patient for 5 years, a mere number on your list, a faceless, forceless receptionist, despairing a condition you say doesn't exist. A woman who's fearing a silent disease can feel it conquering her way down, down deep, but you are the doctor who looks with disdain when I come to your office again and again. So when I finally fluke and see someone else, their sirens go off and it's all about my health. It is a crazy fucking roller coaster ride as a team of doctors widen their eyes saying, I've only got 6 months because I'm that far gone. Maybe they can help, but I've got to be strong. It's a gamble at best, and pray tell them why. I didn't visit a doctor sooner. Do I want to die? Their diagnosis is dire, I'm down to the wire, and I end up afire for a full frightening year, with poisonous chemicals pumping in my veins, being kept so close to death, it's absolutely insane. But I'm stubborn enough to take it and remain. Because I've got visions of future, visions of more, visions that keep me soulful and sore. Like the one of you, doctor, with me in your space, making you look me right in the face as I frame frozen words so true you can't deal, so much truth it's painfully real. I am your patient. Look at me. I represent every female you will ever see. Pay attention. You cannot deny, and despite that ego, you must recognize young women can get cancer, oh dread, and not all female patients are soft in the head. Receptionists, secretaries, gardeners, mothers, lawyers, poets, sisters, lovers, we can have a mind and know our own selves, but we will die prematurely if your righteous self thinks only he's got a clue and only he can construe what's wrong with our beautiful bodies. You were no longer my doctor when I finally appeared in your office at the end of that terrible year, when I forced you to look me full in the eye when you sweat stutters and apologized and whispered that you were absolutely surprised that I had made it and somehow survived. Yes, you are a doctor, but tables can turn. Patients can know more than you, that we have both learned. You may be a doctor, but we all make mistakes, despite ego, status, income, or stakes. I was deathly ill for 5 years, and you missed it. Tell me, Dr. G, who else have you missed? So I challenge you here, doctor, to check twice, even thrice. Lumps, bumps, moles, and tears of patients you'll have in the upcoming years. I challenge you, listen to worries and aches, nightmares and fears of every patient you'll face. Don't let any one of them suffer an assumption you make. I am your patient, and I am patient and will be until I die. But it's my right to ensure that you apologize, that you question with caution, that you listen and learn, that you sleep well at night with respect you earn. Please ease your ego and champion that role, and accept there are things that you just might not yet know. And my last words to you are these, Dr. G. You'll be a better doctor overall if you always just remember me. The BC AD afterwards. 1. From Lawrence Ferengeti. And the world begins again. Hurry up, please, it's time. Oh, it's actually time and a half, and there's the rub. 2. Cold that is endless starts at the top of the spine. Cold this constant may always be mine. Fatigue which assaults me day after day, I'm told is normal, but may never go away. My memory is fractured, my focus gets so lost, but in the interest of future, everything's well worth the cost. Life is a gift which I partly control, and losing a breast does not make me less whole. And although fear of recurrence may never abate, I will not wither, I will not wait.